May 12th. So, this is assembling the cast for transitions, some of them. I have some pictures from the picture thing, but this is the cast. Here we have some of them. I don't think that Rakshi appears in this one, but there she is. There's the uprated Knight Prime Scout or Sport. He's going to be Sport instead of Hot Rod, just to make more sense. And we're gonna have another Hot Rod in it later, but not in this one. That's another guy. Yeah, it has to be somebody else. We've got Night Racer and Dropkick Night Racer, or Chaz. It's Chaz. We got RC and Springer, the main characters. Everyone else. I'll comment. We have a cat on the set, right there. The cat. Is it Abra? Yeah. So that's basically. Okay, what I'm going to do, slight scene revision. It's not Hot Rod that he's talking to, it's just her. They're going back and forth. And these others are sort of off to the side. They're observing this that's going on. I think that's the idea. Anyway, so, nowhere to edit. That's the scene before Where's the Shuttle. So they're in some sort of a realm thing, and they're looking around. Yeah, that's what I gather. Oh boy. Cool. So it's a little leader on here. Did a little bit of footage. Trying to explain where they are, kind of. I don't know how many minutes this is, but it's not 8 minutes, I know that. It really isn't. It's maybe 2 or 3. Could be the teaser. So let's see. Other ethereal stuff that isn't in the script. Yes, hello, Calcat the Calcatster studio doing the beginning of transitions. I'm gonna try to make these new movies as brief as possible on the comments and behind the scenes because, well, we've already established who everybody is in the series, so any new ones are going to be kind of obvious. It's a cross between Siege and Titans and Generations, basically, Transformers. A little bit of the others thrown in. So we have some of them from Generations that appeared in the last one, and of course the RC figure from that we had to go and buy on because we didn't have a tall enough RC. We had a few of the bike ones that were too small. We got an Amazon RC. We have a Rodimus Prime coming for the Rodimus Prime stuff. It's the Power of the Primes Rodimus because he's essential for the Hot Rod Rodimus scenes. We have the cartoon Optimus Prime from K.O. Dan, which we're going to use as the Optimus Prime for the Mystic scene with the Megatron and the Prime. So because they look completely different than the other ones, so it's clearly that's mystically weird. Basically, in the script, they do go to the planet of the Wrath, and it plays with their minds basically. So we don't know how they got there in the story, but it's evident in the beginning of the story that they're already there, like before it started. So she drops us into the action in medias res, in the middle of the action, and puts us in there. This is Bobbi Carothers' script, and so typical of that type of script story. It's mainly about Springer and RC's past, coming back to him while he's under duress. In the story, he's under duress. In this one, they all are, because it's more interesting. So I've taken a few liberties and tweaked it so that they're like, okay, they're in this weird chamber thing that's affecting their minds, and they're like in it. So we can change sets constantly, and also make it more visually interesting, because otherwise they're just standing around. So yeah, take some liberties with that. Yeah, so yeah, Jane Piedmont is directing. Sure. There isn't. Yeah, that's a made-up character. It's Calcat, but it's gonna say Jane Piedmont in the script. Obviously, there's no one else in the room. But yeah. So yeah, you can't skirt around that at all, really. Because they'll say, oh, they weren't social distancing. There's no girl. It's a script by somebody from 20 years ago that probably doesn't know she's getting a script adaptation of fan fiction at all. At least Powers was kind of aware of it after seeing part 2. That it was an adaptation of my thing. All right, fine. I'm okay with it. But anyway, but in this case, I don't know. So we have, basically, they're gonna strike this head for me. But this was a test footage to see what everybody looks like, their scale. The Dropkick Night Racer from Bumblebee is going to be the Night Racer. This version, because it looks more like a G1 inspired sort of feel to it, G1, G2, as opposed to the Night Racer from the other movies, which will probably appear because it is an alternate universe. She'll probably show up just as a ghost or something. She might show up as Cass, which would be interesting. But probably not, because that would be a little confusing, because you've just seen Corrosion, so you might think, oh, this is related. It's indirectly related. It's part of the same multiverse, but it's like a slightly different universe. It's more similar to the DC ones, where they did different versions of Earth, which Marvel also did, kind of. So they have Earth 616 is the Earth of the Marvel movies, whereas the comic book, I think, is 612 or something. Anyway, so and 612 would be a Robotech reference to the number on the aircraft carrier Prometheus. Anyway, so but this is in the same universe roughly with the other ones, and the twist isn't just that one of them is dreaming and one of them isn't. It's that this world is messing with them, like a Twilight Zone kind of thing. So this planet they've landed on is messing with them. It's sort of like if they went to the web world again and looked around from the G1 series and looked around and were like, oh, let's explore what web world does to their minds. It's kind of like that. It's a little bit like the Beast World thing under the planet. It's a little bit of the Gaikini story with the thing that built Unicron allegedly and all that stuff. The Wrath and Unicron. And it's a little bit UK comics and a little bit Wreckers. We have Grapple. Hoist is going to show up later. Grapple and Springer, and I think we got the other Wreckers are some of the Protectobots indirectly, RC and not Night Racer, it's somebody else, but in this one it's Night Racer because Night Racer, it's got to be that. And I think also Wheeljack is a Wrecker, and a Grimlock should be a Wrecker too. I would think the Dinobots would be a Wrecker, but the UK comics are different. So. This is the Americanized version, sort of the IDW-inspired version, because it includes some of that, but only the good stuff, though. Not the cheesy stuff. This is before IDW. This is like G1 and G2. It's Generation 2 inspired. So this story is very much a Generation 2, and so we met the cast here, Springer included. It's a Springer and RC episode, technically. Most of it, what the Wrath creature tries to do is figure out Springer's relationship. And it was alluded to that they have relationships in Corrosion. And they even had kids in Corrosion. They showed how the weird gestation period of robots works. And that they could easily upgrade into space puberty, within weeks, because they're robots. Why would they need to bother with maturing at all at a maturation vat? In fact, some of them could be sparks hidden inside someone else, come out and become assassins. So they could do all kinds of stuff with that. There's a spark. Because in Beast Wars they established that Primal could carry Prime Spark around, and Megatron could carry Megatron Spark around, and become Draconus Megatron. Originally, I don't want to ramble too much, but originally, so in the Beast Wars continuity, the the roles are, and you can kind of, there's a hint about that. I didn't address that in Corrosion. I'd like to address it now. Draconus Prime, a spark similar to him or inspired of him. Draconus Prime becomes the dragon, the T-Rex, and then the dragon Megatron in Beast Wars. And Maxis Carta, or a spark like him, not necessarily him, inspired of him, becomes Optimus Primal. In case you didn't guess that that's what was going on. That's what eventually those two sparks would go on to become Dragon Megatron and Optimus Prime. And the Wrecker Crane Hoist sounding like guy becomes Rat Trap. And yeah, there's a bunch of, and obviously Bulkhead is Brannox. And of course Windblade is Pterosaur. Yeah. What does that make Night Racer then? Is she Black Arachnia? Well, not exactly. I'm going to find out. She's actually, they address that in the next, if we get around to it, in Redemption. She is Air Razor. She's Air Razor. So that's cool. Yeah, because Black Arachnia would have to be somebody else. Black Arachnia would have to be someone slightly younger, who changes into another like beast form in the beginning of the story, by the name of Roxy. That's Black Arachnia. It's gonna be someday Black Arachnia. So yeah, she isn't yet, but she will be someday. So what does that make that little hot rod guy then? Scout. Cheetor. Ah! Cheetor, yeah. Cheetor Maximize. Yeah, so there's, yeah, it all works somehow. And it's not saying they are, it's just saying that's what I was thinking. It's Cheetor. So it's not Sure Shot that's Cheetor, it's actually his kid. It's Cheetor. Beast Wars. And Rat Trap's the other guy. Rat Trap's the other guy. Ooh, so what does that make Springer and Sandstorm then? Well, yeah, they would. The Waspinator. Yeah. The Waspinator. Waspinator! No. Maybe. He's got the same colors. Oh, that's racist. He's got the same colors. Oh, no. No, he's probably somebody else that didn't address in the stories at all. Because why address that? Could be Springer, could not be. I wonder what RC is in the new timeline. She clearly isn't Black Arachnia. And what's funny is Rat Trap says at one point that his great aunt was RC, and that actually makes sense because Sure Shot from this other timeline would be RC's relative. Yeah, they'd be related. So maybe so the great aunt RC would just be Scout's great aunt, basically. So or voiced's great aunt, actually, I should say. Oh well, anyway, it's a throwaway line. What the heck? Starscream is, yeah, some of that's probably BS, but the part about Prime and Maxis Carta, totally Beast Wars, totally connection. Totally. That's what I was thinking. That guy's gonna become Primal. It's really obvious he's gonna become Optimus Primal. I've even had them say that's just Prime a lot. It's funny the other guy becomes Megatron. Sort of becomes Megatron, but then the twist is that when Megatron tried to make the Primal Prime armor to like fight him, or the Primal Prime scene, and it turned all red, white, and blue like Optimus Prime, it turned red, white, and blue like Draconus Prime. So his spark came out, freed him. Because he's Draconus Prime. His real spark came out. Oh, cool. That'd be its own story, really. I should probably write that down. That's awesome. But yeah, I rambled about that. But yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking of that other story. And I don't know how much it actually works, but that's what I was thinking. This one's totally different. Yeah, these characters are totally different. I don't think they're related to the other ones. Although they are better sorted, so I can find them quicker. I sorted them. That took like 3 days to sort through them, find the best ones, and I opened up most of my Earthrise figures to use as some of them because they worked better. They're the right scale to them. See, they're not very tall, almost minicons. RC's tiny. It's like a minicon. Yeah. So, and if Springer got in that, he'd probably hurt her. She has to be on top. Just saying. Too. There is artwork of that. Don't look at it. I did not draw the artwork. No. I'm just saying there is. There's definitely slash pictures of Transformers. Lots of it. Some of it disturbing. Some of it weird. Some of it with like tentacle boners and stuff. And Megatron with gigantic like schlong made out of metal. Like, but the funniest one from years ago was that one with Megatron and Starscream, like a little romantic. And he's all like, "Oh, Megatron, I love you." And he passed him a giant metal flower. He goes, "Oh, Starscream, you shouldn't have a flower." He's all like sniffing it. It's like, what the? Like, okay, where's this gonna go? You brought me flowers and I wanted candy, Starscream. Ha. Meh. Had to watch my girlish figure. Clang. Psh. Oh, I would have waited an eternity for this. Bend over, Prime. No. I can't believe we threw one of those lines in a Space Bridge episode, the Bioship Mystery. We threw one of the lines when Megatron is going to shoot Hadon in the butt. He says, "I will blast you straight into the ass of God." Which is stolen from a fanfic. Put that in there. And these are basically fanfics. This is a slash story about Springer and RC being in love. But it has like elements of this Wrath Planet in it. And a really strange ending that Calcat will probably need to change slightly to make it make sense. Yeah. Because otherwise it kind of doesn't end, really. Yeah. But I will, it'll be easy enough to do that. We've done many of these Transformer stories. And we managed to make Corrosion work, so there you go. Anyway, so that's pretty much my rant here. On making of, a lot of making of here. For this evening, the 12th of May. Wednesday, May 13th. We are filming. We are using the B-roll camera for most of this because the A-roll camera battery is not charged. So this is the B-roll camera, but it'll give it. Yeah. So yeah, they're pretty much the same camera. It's a year, made year before the other one. This one's just slightly less focused. Is all. Yeah. Next scene, we're conveying that they're still sort of in this dreamland trippy thing, and Megatron is kind of in the background. And maybe, yeah, so we're still in there, and that's what's going on. So you get the idea that this is clearly not it's a simulator thingy, and what they're seeing, maybe what Megatron's seeing, or maybe what he's seeing. We'll see. So yeah, just a quick aside. The reason that the Killing Joke scene with Batman and clearly I'm spoofing that here, but Batman and Batgirl didn't work as well. It's Batman and Batgirl, but yeah, they did it better with the Harley Quinn one and Robin and the Nightwing. They did that scene better, but this is kind of a spoof of that, and I was thinking of that as I filmed this. I'm like, oh, this is just a spoof of that, but indirectly because it's supposed to be romantic. The trick to doing a romance scene in a slash story is you have to play it straight enough that it makes sense for the characters. That's a trick to it. They would do that. They're uninhibited. They're not bound by any kind of constraint. They're just in love. Then it works. Then that Batman scene would have been convincing. But there was no setup for it. Like oh yeah, she has like a lover in the movie. There's a gay friend that's a yoga instructor, like whatever. It's like, or something. It was weird. It didn't work out because you figure she would go with the yoga instructor guy, but apparently he was gay, so he wasn't interested. But yeah, that was the problem with the Killing Joke, is that it didn't need. That's a different story. You don't need that. That's something else. Yeah, like 60s era Batman probably, or animated Batman probably wouldn't bang Batgirl. It just wouldn't. And the way it ends up is messed up and tragic. So it's like, yeah, you don't do that. But here, RC and Springer were clearly a thing. So here it works. You know, I don't think Springer was into Hot Rod. I think what's probably going on about here is that Springer might have been kind of, they might have both had a thing for Hot Rod, so they're okay with that. So they mentioned Hot Rod coming up. But yeah, that's why it didn't work in The Killing Joke, because it was forced. The idea was just an odd sort of weird teacher-student creepy vibe going on. But here I think RC is the same rank as Springer. So it's not as creepy, and they're just clearly like just emulating it. But it's also in this weird dream planet. So maybe it didn't happen like that. Maybe it happened differently. But yeah. But yeah, so that's the aside. That this scene works, and it didn't work in the Killing Joke movie. It wasn't in the book, The Killing Joke. That did not happen in the comic book. In the late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around there. Oh. Yeah. But the movie, yeah, the 2015 movie or 2016 movie didn't work. Yeah. Whatever that was. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The trick to the romance thing is to play it straight enough that it isn't melodramatic, and have them clearly like with each other. It's all of those Notebook movies and whatever, you know, they work. But I'm playing this less like the Notebook movies and more like a cross between Twilight and 50 Shades. So it's a little bit kinky and naughty, but not too much. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I just won't say that. Yeah, there's a weird line in here. In the story, it's literally a line about doing a Kevorkian, but wasn't Jack Kevorkian, wasn't he the abortion guy? Is the author in 98 confusing her with that character with something else? Or he was the heart guy, wasn't he? He was the heart guy. But if he was the heart guy, the evil heart dude, then blowing your brains out doesn't make sense. So, and it's really, really topical. Even though she makes a later essay, a year later in 98 on the internet saying, I don't want to do any cliches. Well, topical cliches are cliches. So, yeah, I looked up some of her Carothers' other stuff. This is the chief one, though, that we're going to do. But yeah, Kevorkian doesn't make sense. Yeah, there's some. What's weird about that line of Kevorkian was the heart guy. Yeah, I think he was the heart guy. One of those guys. Yeah, he was a guy, a medical guy that was nuts or something. But it's odd that would be mentioned in there. I know it was a topical in 1997 when the story was written, but it doesn't make any sense to have that in there, because they were just talking about, for one thing, that they didn't like human behavior, such as sneezing. So why would they then be discussing a human? And what exactly happened to Chas? Did Springer, kill her by accident or something? Is that what's going on? Or is it the Wrath Planet that's done this? Can't really be sure. I decided to go on to this scene next because, sure, why not do all the scenes where it's mystical and weird, and then go back. So we can get done and make it awesome. So yeah, this is going to be B-roll footage. sort of, for the evening. I think it's, what time is it? A little after 6? Yeah, 6, it's almost 7. B-roll footage. And so with B-roll footage, we have, I looked up this Kevorkian, Jack Kevorkian. Apparently, it's referenced in the story. He was apparently a suicide doctor in the 90s. A euthanasia doctor that euthanasiaed people. So, they implying in this, well, it's cut out of the story because I didn't think it made sense. It's a weird reference. And I guess as a professor, Bobbi Carothers was fascinated with, as a sociology professor, fascinated with the premise of someone like that. So why not write maybe she wrote a dissertation on him or something. But yeah, the author of this story is now a professor, or has been for many years at this point. So yeah, that's not, she's not related to Kevorkian. Just mentioned him in there. It would be like if, like, I referenced Nirvana from the 90s in some of my early Carta stories. Like, why would it throw that in there? It'd be like that. It'd be like if you mentioned Kurt Cobain. So that's what that was about. But it's like, are they implying that Springer's a murderer and that he murdered his previous girlfriend? That would make him a Decepticon, I would think. So yeah, I'm not too sure what she was going for with that. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, euthanasia doctor, suicide. Yeah, apparently she has some issues back then, or at least like studying issues back then. So, but it is typical of many people that have slight problems to go into the psychology field because they want to have a psychologist. So it makes sense. So they want to be psychologists. They need one, so they want to be one. Makes sense. Who knows? Clearly she's still around, so yeah. Hope she likes my version of her story from 20 years ago. I tried to follow the story pretty well, so should be all right. Anyway, so yeah. Okay, this is going to be the scene in the med bay, which is in an alien realm, so it's sort of not really the med bay. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, page 61. So all that grim stuff in the thing is like, oh, by the way, they just rebuilt him within like 5 pages. So yeah. Well, they're in their alien thing. I don't even know whether this actually happened to him. But yeah, so yeah, action. Okay, this is note that this is back to page 22, and Magnus instead of Cup. Because yeah, note. That's line it up to the part where he goes into the council chamber. They're not in there yet, and then he meets Nightmare. Yeah. So this is going to be the aftermath of the meeting, the same hallway or I guess anteroom or whatever. So here is Okay. So what that was a Cup and Hot Rod at the bar scene that was in the script, but. Yeah, so we're doing this episode, so I did that with Rodimus Prime and Draconos, just to have them address what they were watching. So they're watching this. They're all watching this weird Wrath planet, trying to get them pissed off, basically. So that's what's going on. And pretty soon, we're gonna have Megatron Scene coming up. Oh. Last night we did a very opening scene, about 8 minutes. And today we rocketed through 40 minutes of the script. It's literally half done. Hopefully there's some time to do the rest of it later. It's 10 tonight. We've been doing this for 7.5 hours. I think that's enough. We'd probably screw it up and have to reshoot that. If we kept going for another hour, it'd probably end up looking like shit. So let's not do that. Let's end for tonight. Scrap the set, put everybody away, because this is the end of that scene, and this is going to the next scene. Now, clearly in the story, the Prime and the Megatron look goofy, so they're still on the Wrath planet. And all that's going on with them is part of what's going on the spaceship or planet ship thing. It's a base or something on the planet. There's probably a base, I guess, on the planet. It's not going to be the space station again. We've seen that too many times. Yeah, you'll have to find something else. Yeah. Yeah, so it did a whole lot, and it's cool. It's all cool. I got to watch some of the dailies, and they were awesome, and I'm sure this scene is awesome too, and I'm sure it's good. So yeah, it looked pretty cool. So even if I don't think it's going to be blurry anywhere. I think it looks good. Yeah, so there's the whole battle scene thing. And interestingly enough, this author does not do the one shall stand, one shall fall scene. Rather, she does something completely different. And I kind of like that she does something different. Sort of emulating the movie, but without the dialogue of the movie. Yeah, so sort of a twist on it. But it's clearly a realm thing. Something weird is going on here. Yeah, and so we have Draconus and Rodimus and everybody. We allude to Raksha having killed some Decepticons, or Predacons. But actually, yeah, Raksha did it. Night Racer probably ordered it, though. Which is kind of messed up, because she was just created. She didn't really know what she was doing, did she? It's kind of messed up. So... Although this is supposed to be a different universe, it's some connections to Corrosion, because we have some Corrosion characters in it, which is interesting. But we have a slightly different Night Racer in this version, a slightly more G1 looking one in the form of a Dropkick, who is a Carta character who was made for the Bumblebee movie, which is awesome. Also, Shatter is two, kind of, sort of. So the two Decepticons in that. And that weird Blitzwing, alternate Blitzwing, was Jet Smash. That's what they should have been called. Oh, well, they didn't know. They knew the other one, though, so I didn't know they knew Dropkick. And where was Elbow Drop at? Yeah. These are the Punch Masters. Dropkick, Elbow Drop, Suplex, the Punch Masters. Yeah. Oh, Fortress Buffkiness. Yeah, it's like they didn't know. Yeah, Jimticon. Yeah, Dropkick. They were all named after wrestling moves, because it was a wrestling robot. Dropkick was one of them. She was one of the arms of the Gestalt, and she could, or was she a foot? She was a foot. Yeah, she Dropkick. She was a foot. She was a foot. Yeah, so she could be the foot. Part of the foot. More like a Power Ranger, though. There was a toy that I built at a Carta that never featured. I built a 2.5 foot tall Fortress Buffkiness toy, and it was in the corner. It was like almost 3 feet. Almost about a meter tall. It was really big. It's the Carta robot sitting in the corner. And I also had a Carta spaceship, the JDW's cat, originally named the John Williams cat, but then became something else. It was named for the, I guess, who knows. It wasn't named after Mark's cards, oddly enough. It was just the JDW's cat. Part 2 one kind of was. The JDW's cat was kind of cool because it was it was lacquered over in several layers of lacquer paint. It was constructed as a giant 3-foot-long Carta aircraft carrier. And I intended to take that to the Cabana Club swimming pool because I put styrofoam on the end and inside. And I intended to float it. I never did it, but I was going to float it in the swimming pool. Because it was all full of styrofoam, so it probably would have floated. Yeah, it would have been all destroyed, but it would have floated. But yeah, that would have been awesome. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Dropkick. Yeah, so we have some other. There's Dropkick, Superplex. Oh yeah, yeah, Superplex. Headlock was one of the arms. Or was it the head? Headlock. Leg lock was the other one. Figure 4 leg lock. Clang. What's the other leg? Leg lock and drop kick. Who like to drop kick Autobots. Fortress Buffkiness, although he was kind of a Decepticon. But yeah, Fortress Buffkiness. And there was Angicon, who was one of the other ones. But she wasn't technically a punch master, though. She was more somebody else. Yeah, she was just a car. Angicon. And Alicom is Allison. But yeah, yeah. So, and it was Adamacon, of course, and Timinus. Yeah, part of that group, the Punch Masters and the Kick Masters and all that stuff. So the Wrestling Transformers, 1990 or so. Yeah, that toy line never happened because that would have been really strange, but interesting. Wrestling Superstar Transformers. So a Star Wars and Transformers crossover, was that based on us? Not directly. Indirectly. Anyway, so that's enough for tonight. Okay, 14th, May 14th. Day 3. Yeah. This is a scene involving Cut Blaster and Prime. Well, Draconus Prime. On page 43. Okay, page 56, more dialogue with Springer and Chass. Remembering stuff while they're in the Wrath Planet thing. Remembering stuff, okay. Cop is in focus. Strongly in focus, good. Reshoots, scene reshoots. There's a scene a little bit after that other, immediately after that other one, really, in which we have the Builder, played by Cup here, who is talking to Moonracer / Chass. The Builder's talking to Chass, trying to explain what's going on. And just so we get the idea that it's not Cup, I'm going to make him sound like Alpha Trion. And then, just to get the idea that, oh, he's sort of a weird alien, and they're all aliens, and yeah. So yeah, why? You have done well. You have done well. You have done well. You have done well. Why are we doing this to him? After all of this time, you still refuse to understand. Why are you doing this to him? After all this time, you still refuse to understand. Why are you doing this to him? After all this time, you refuse to understand. Why are you doing this to him? After all this time, you still refuse to understand. Why are you doing this to him? After all this time, you still refuse to understand. I understand just fine. I just refuse to accept it. I understand just fine. I just refuse to accept it. I understand just fine. I just refuse to accept it. I understand just fine. I just refuse to accept it. I understand just fine. I just refuse to accept it. I understand just fine. I just refuse to accept it. You prepared him and he will succeed. You have 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 prepared him and he will succeed. At what cost? They were not supposed to become so close. At what cost? They were not supposed to become so close. At what cost? They were not supposed to become so close. At what cost? They were not supposed to become so close. At what cost? They were not supposed to become so close. At what cost? They were not supposed to become so close. Who sent the assistant too late? You sent the assistant too late. 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 He wasn't ready. For what? He wasn't ready. 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 For that, he never would have been. He needed time there. Anyway. Okay, this is B-roll. 10:30 at night. Final day, filming. The crashed Matryoshka ship. I want to make sure that this works. And then that's it. So let me, yeah, they've been in the ship the whole time. It crashed. So, this is a little making of thing on the end of this. Rushed into 3.5 days of filming. I know we got to put it all together. Yeah, we did transitions. Bobbi Carothers transitions. Actually, probably a little off on the identity of Bobbi Carothers. There is another Roberta Carothers who is a professor from the university. I don't think it's the same person. So yeah, it's not. It's not the same person. But there was both. I'm assuming that the server was probably, she might have been related to the other one, the professor, but I don't think they're the same person. But she could PM the channel if she is. We will put it for byline in the credits. It will be free, of course. We can't pay anybody. Free byline and free credits, no AdSense. Yeah, obviously. And yeah, so this is transitions. Bobbi Carothers transitions. I meant to say corrosion. I used to say in that other one. Transitions, and the last 8 pages were slightly different than in the story because they're kind of strange. And I decided that to make it visually, say as a movie, it would make the different things that happen to them a little more catchy. So we have Shockwave, who did show up in the script, but in a different spot. Rodimus showing up in a different spot. They try to belittle them a little bit. It kind of ends a little bit like It from 1990. I'm sure that's what you're thinking of. Also there was a gag that's not in here, in which they look on a wall and they see their death markers on the wall in the ship. I decided that was probably better said in dialogue, that they were going to be killed, than to actually have them, like, because that wouldn't make sense. The ending does do the Calcat ending, which is sort of implied in the script anyway. I just read it closer. Actually, she does, so it's technically her ending. That the Night Racer is the last person to wake up and go like, what's going on? So, yeah, that was there. Well, the first person and the last one. So yeah. And yeah, Blades had to be there in that scene because so it works. It works. It's creepy, weird. It's not Halloween time, but it could be a Halloween story. But it's also at times a Transformer romance shipping story, which is interesting. They know the Wrath ship in the middle of the action in Meteor's Race. So there you go. There's your Wrath. It turns out that Wrath was not a complete being. That Wrath was a very sophisticated Matryoshka brain computer, similar to Vector Sigma, and that he was sort of a lesser brother of the other two. And he was, because you figure something that runs a planet that flies around and eats other planets is probably like that. Cybertron's probably like that. Primus is probably like that. So I took that and I melded it back into the. I think some of the IDW stuff did this, and the Dark Horse stuff. And some of that others did that as well, kind of. So I kind of put that in, implied that in there. Didn't specifically say it, but implied it. Made it sound like he made a little more sense in the Transformers canon. Basically, made him like he's the unfinished Gaikini version of Tornadron. He's Tornadron's physical self. Tornadron was the beast of matter, the Wrath character, and he's the beast of energy, allegedly. So he had to have some matter in order for that to work. Plasma beast. So I said, well, where was his source? Where was the head, the creature, whatever the thing? That's the source they found. The Wrath Unicron thing. They have another Unicron. Actually, in Trans 2, the series from the Calicat version, there was a second Unicron that was built. A smaller one, similar to this. So this is kind of a... Yeah, so she didn't know that, but unless she read it, it was on the Mush. So, yeah, so... Yeah, I think City of the Time Forgot was on there. That was the story. City of the Time Forgot. Yeah, I don't know if that made it up there. It probably was. Yeah, a lot of that stuff was up there, mainly in summary form, though. But yeah, the story is yeah, not so much. So this was Transitions. I hope you all like it. It's gonna be fun. Another Transformers MUSH episode. I like it that the story, that where they were in the Matryoshka brain was a multi-user, a shared hallucination. Literally, they're inside the mush within itself. That's meta. That's some Terrence Malick meta stuff right there. That's some Pink Floyd thrown in there a little bit too. There's a little bit of the guy from the Notebook as well. Oh, but yeah, space romance robot thing. The Wrath. Stop. It's definitely how they defeat the bad guy is a little silly, but then again, they're robots, so yeah. If it had been as powerful as Unicron, there's no way they could have stopped it. So maybe it flies on emotion and like negative emotion, and so it's a positive emotion loop, feedback loop that basically makes him weak. Basically finishes him off. So it's kind of the reverse of it. The character in it was belittled until he shrank and then disappears. So the clown, the evil clown, it. Whereas in this case, they basically love him to death, which is funny. They gave him the Care Bear stare. Hey, old school. Excellent.
Well, something about Unicron's penis. Balls. Hard, stiff, twitchy balls.
Yes. Okay, what's the next line? Move that down.
What happened?
Yeah, and
Sparring, basically. Yeah, hold on. Come on. What is going on now? All of a sudden. You're making more noise than they are. Come on, Mom. Oh, wow. Come on. Wow, that's... Was that recording the whole time?
It's always like this with you, isn't it, Prime? You get caught in the crossfire between the Autobots and Decepticons, and we don't count because we offer nothing of military issue. But, so what if a few hundred,
No.
The danger to civilians is too great if fighting resumes on Cybertron. The freeze remains. The danger to civilians is too great if fighting remains on Cybertron. The freeze remains. The danger to civilians is too great if fighting resumes on Cybertron. The freeze remains. The danger to civilians is too great if fighting resumes on Cybertron. The freeze remains. So yeah, this wasn't. This is the meat of the story, basically. Even if they are in the Wrath planet.
Anyway, here is Blaster's lines.
Or Blaster's line. But originally Draconis should be Blaster. It's always like this with you two, isn't it, Prime? We get caught in a crossfire between Autobots and Decepticons, and we can't count because we offer nothing of military value. So what if a few hundred, a few thousand neutrals get wiped out in the process, right? So long as you keep the Decepticons out, it's all fine and legal. Sounds like something Blaster might say. Yeah.